Hello students, welcome to a lesson through the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher, and in this lockdown period, since we are not able to go to school children, we will be doing many lessons here online through the virtual class. So come on, let's proceed to our lesson for today.
Hello everyone, let me welcome you to a beautiful lesson in EVS for standard 3rd, and the name of the lesson is Animal Shelters. Now we have been learning about where we people live. Okay, human beings, we live in a house. But what about these animals, children? Where do they live? So the places which animals live are called as animal shelters. So you can see beautiful animals over here. You can see the dog, the cat, etc. And these animals, the places where they live, and what are the houses that these kind of animals make for themselves. All these things we will study in this lesson, animal shelters. My name is Shraddha teacher, and I will be teaching you EVS here through the virtual class this year for standard 3rd. So come on, this is a very fun-filled lesson. There are a number of beautiful pictures to see and beautiful images. Okay, you will learn a lot of new things in this lesson. So let us start this lesson and let us talk about animal shelters. So what are animal shelters, children? Animal shelters means the places where animals live. Okay. Now look at this picture carefully. You can see two animals in this picture, isn't it? So there is a cat, and here there is a cat, and the cat is lying in wait for someone. Who is that? What do you think the cat is waiting for? The cat is waiting for this mouse to come out of its house, isn't it? But the mouse is very smart. The mouse is sitting safely inside its hole. The mouse knows that if it comes out of the hole, what will happen? The cat will catch him. Okay, so this mouse is, see how safely he's sitting inside his house and looking outside. He will not come out. Okay, because he knows that as soon as he comes out of the hole, the cat will catch hold of him and he will eat him up. Okay, so what is happening is the mouse is being protected inside its house, inside its hole, inside its shelter, okay, from enemies. Alright, let us look at one more image now. See here, there is one more naughty cat. And what does this cat want? Now this cat wants to eat the baby birds which are there in the crow's nest. Can you see? But the cat is on the floor, on the ground, on land, and this crow's nest is safe on top of this tree. Okay, so just imagine if this crow's babies were not in this nest on top of the tree and they were somewhere on the land, what would have happened? The cat would have eaten up all these baby crows. So what is a shelter, or what is a nest doing? The shelter or the nest is protecting the baby crows. Alright, that means wherever these animals live, that is their shelter, that shelter protects them from their enemies. Okay, so shelter is also a place where these animals can rest when they are tired. So look at this small lion cub. So it is very tired and it wants to sleep now. So what has it done? It has gone and it has rested in its cave. Okay, so whenever they are tired, just like when we feel sleepy, we want to go home and sleep, isn't it? In the same way, these animals, when they feel tired, they want to rest. And where do they rest? They go and rest in their shelters. Okay, children? Now there is something else also. The shelter also protects these animals not only from their enemies, like you saw with the cat, but it also protects them from rain or from storms. Okay, so when there is a heavy rain, see this monkey, what it does? It takes its baby and it goes and hides inside its shelter. So what does the shelter do? The shelter is a place where the animals can rest when they are tired, and also the shelter protects these animals from rain, from storm, and from other animals also. Now, it is not only these animals, children, but we human beings also need shelter. Okay, now why do we human beings need shelter? For the same reason that the animals need shelter. So our house, it protects us from wind. It protects us from the scorching sun. Scorching means hot sun. Okay, it also protects us from heavy rains and cold weather. So when it starts raining, what do? You run and you go into your house. Alright, so that you do not get wet in the rain and you do not fall sick. So your house protects you from so many different things. It gives you protection from cold. It gives you protection from heat. It gives you protection from rain and also protection from wind. Now children, there is something else also which our home does for us. Whatever valuable things we have, what do? Our money, our gold, etc. We keep it safe and locked away inside our houses, isn't it? Now suppose we did not have a house, what will happen? We will not be able to protect ourselves from theft. Theft means what? People who come and steal our things, people who come and take away our things from us. Okay, so imagine if you don't have a house and if a thief like this comes, okay, a robber, what will happen? He will take away all your valuables and go away. Okay, so our house protects us from theft also. Now children, we are all living here in a city, but there are certain people who live near the forest areas, near the jungles. And you all know that in the jungles you find many wild animals like this bear over here. Now imagine if these people did not have a house, what would have happened? The bear would have tried to harm them, isn't it? But now the bear is looking at the house. See, the bear knows that this house will protect these people. So the bear will not go near the house. Alright? So these are the reasons why we human beings need shelter. Now let us go back to our animal friends, children, and let us see how many types of animals are there. So there are animals which make their own shelters. That is, they build their own shelters. So which are the animals which build their own shelters? See here, this beautiful bird using grass, using twig, using sticks, cotton pieces. What does the bird do? It builds a beautiful nest for its own living and for its family, that is for its babies. Okay, it will lay eggs in the nest and its babies will be safe in the nest. See, there is this other kind of animal which is a bee, honey bee. It's an insect. It also builds its own home and we call it the beehive. Okay, so see, these animals, they build their own shelters. There is one more animal, see here. This is an ant hill. Okay, so the ants, they make this so that they can live safely, their children can live safely. So these are the animals which build their own shelters. Let us look at many more animals also which build their own shelters. See here, birds, they build nests. We saw a bird also now building nest now here. See, these are some more birds building a nest for themselves. See here, what does it do then? It can go and sleep. It can go and rest in the nest. And also, its babies are protected in the nest. These birds, they lay eggs in these nests. And then what happens from these eggs? These baby birds hatch. Okay, and these baby birds are very, very small in size. They cannot fly. Therefore, the nest keeps them safe. So the baby birds, they remain safe inside these nests. Okay? And see, look at this. This is also a type of nest. Sometimes we have these birds which build nest in our houses also, isn't it? Not only on the trees. So why do they do this? Because they want to protect themselves and their babies. See here. Now this is a nest which is made in a hollow of a tree. Okay, so these are the different types of nest that these birds make. Let us look at some more images. Now look at this animal. Now this animal also takes a lot of pain and effort in order to make its own house or its own shelter. Which is this animal? It is the spider. Okay, see how the spider is spinning its web, isn't it? So these are, children, some examples of animals which make their own shelter. Now there are some other animals in nature which do not do so much of hard work. What they do is they find ready shelters for themselves. Okay, so now which are these animals which find ready shelters for themselves? Look at this lion. Does the lion build a home for itself? No. It goes and it lives in a cave, ready-made. Okay, in a ready-made natural cave, it goes there and it lives there. See, look at this scorpion. Now there might be big rocks and there are gaps inside these rocks. So these scorpions, they go and find shelter in the gaps in the rocks. Alright. Look at this mice or this mouse or rats. They live in the fields. Okay. And the rats sometimes live in the houses also of people. Because it gets food to eat, isn't it? See. In a house, there is a hole and the rat goes and lives inside that hole. And it does a lot of stealing also. Alright, if you keep food open, the rat will eat it up in the night. Look at these, some more animals which find ready shelters, such a beautiful tiger cub. It also lives in a natural cave. Alright, tigers, they live in caves. And what about these monkeys? These monkeys live on trees. They live on trees. They sit there. They sleep there. Okay. Let us look at some more animals that find ready shelters. Look at this rabbit. What is it doing? It has found a burrow, means a hole in the ground for itself. So rabbits, they live in burrows. And bats, they hang on trees. So they are not building any shelter. They are just going and living in a ready-made place which they get. Okay. See some more examples. These animals we have seen around us now. The pigeons. What do? They find places in the corners of the buildings or in the hollows or gaps in the walls. So these, children, are the different types of animals which find ready-made shelter. So see here. This is a kind of a monitor lizard. It lives inside the gap in the stone, just like our scorpion friend. Alright, see, this is also an animal which is living inside a hole in the ground. Alright. Now sometimes, children, there are some animals which we keep at home. Okay, because we love those animals and we make use of them also. For these kind of animals, we build shelters for them. For example, for a chicken or for hens, we make the hen house, which we call as the coop. For cows and buffaloes, we make the cow shed. Okay, for horses, we make the stable. And for dogs, we make the...
So children, let's take a look at what we have learnt today. So we learnt that animals need a shelter to protect themselves from cold, wind, sun and rain. So just like we need a home to protect ourselves from the cold and the wind and the sun and the rain, these animals, they also need to protect themselves. Okay, so you can see in the first picture a small nest of a bird, and there is snow all around, there is ice all around, but this bird and its eggs and its babies, they are very safe inside the nest. In the second picture here you will see a bird sitting hidden inside the nest when it is raining heavily outside. And in the third picture again you will see a small animal getting into its nest or getting into its home in order to protect itself from the sun or from the rain. Now sometimes children, some of these animals, they live in very hot places, like for example this desert. Now imagine, it must be getting so hot, isn't it, during the day, and the sand also must be becoming very hot. And when this poor animal, when it starts getting very hot, what will it do? It will turn around and it will get inside its home. Now its home is not like our big house, but it is like a small hole or gap in the ground. So this is the first thing that we learned in this lesson, that animals, they need shelter to protect themselves from the cold, from the wind, from the sun and the rain. We also learned that some animals build their own shelters. For example, look at this. It is a weaver bird. Okay, the weaver bird, it weaves its own nest. It brings pieces of, you can say, twigs and pieces of thread, wool, etc. and it makes its own beautiful nest. Now we also have ants, which make ant hills. Alright, now ant hills means they gather mud and they gather soil and they make a small hill kind of a thing. Now children, there is one very interesting thing about ant hills. I don't know whether you know it. It is there in your textbook. So it is said that these snakes, that is the cobra, it lives in an ant hill. It is believed, okay, that it lives in an ant hill. But then that is not true at all. These ant hills are built by the ants. They are not built by the cobras. Then where do the cobras live? The cobras, they live in holes on the ground. Okay, so that is one thing, that ant hills are built by ants for living on their own. They want to live in the ant hills. That is why they build them. And imagine if a cobra goes and starts living there, the ants will drive the cobra away. The ants will bite the cobras and the cobra will run away. Okay, so that is one small thing that people believe. And then let us move on and let us see the next point. Some animals, what do? They look for ready shelters. So they are little lazy. They are not like the weaver bird. They are not like the ants which make their own home. Okay, they want to get ready-made homes. So what do, children? See, they live in such gaps in the rocks. So this is an owl. Alright, the owl likes to live in such hollow places, and most of the times it lives in ready-made homes. It doesn't make or take effort or take pains to build a home for itself. Let us look at this animal now. See, it is a kind of a lizard. See how coolly and comfortably he is sitting in the gap between two rocks. So whenever it starts raining, whenever he gets very hot, whenever he wants to rest, what will he do? He will get into this gap and he will rest. He will also save himself. Big animals will not be able to eat him up when he is sitting in these gaps. Now children, we also build shelters for the animals that we keep. For example, we make a kennel for a dog. Okay, we make sheds for the cows that we have. Here in cities, we do not have cows, okay? We do not have space for the cows. But children who live in the villages, you might see that they have cow sheds at home with cows, buffaloes, etc. And we also build stables for the horses to live in. So whichever animals we keep, we make shelters for them. Now children, you must have sometimes seen that there are different kind of shelters for animals. So see, one look. So you have caves where certain animals live. You have dens for lions and tigers. Okay, then you have kennels for dogs. You have coops for hens, and the birds, they live in the nest, and animals like frogs and fish, they live in ponds. But sometimes there are certain kind of cages and shelters which we do not like to see. Okay, you will see that there are certain animals which are kept in cages and they are crowded in cages like this. Can you see these animals? What are these? These are different kind of birds. They're very colorful, isn't it? You must have seen this in many places, that people keep birds in cages. Sometimes even wild animals like lions and tigers are kept in cages. Now, sometimes for some special reason, for example, if the tiger is not well, if the tiger is injured, then the forest people, what they do is they take it away and they keep it in the cage till it is healed. That is a different thing. But just like that, keeping the animals in these cages, it is supposed to be wrong. So remember that it is not right to keep animals in cages. Okay, just because we like to see them, it is not right to keep them in cages. So they should be there in their natural surroundings. So we should let them live in their natural surroundings. See the birds, they're so happy, isn't it? Flapping their wings and flying high in the air. Imagine keeping these birds in a cage. It will be so bad for them. Okay, and even the wild animals, whichever animal you see, it should be as free as possible. Okay, now there is one more very important point in your book, children. It is about the population of birds which is continuously falling in cities. Now can you see there a pigeon sitting and looking at the city? And also you can see a very common bird, that is the house sparrow. This bird was very common till recently. Then now what has happened? Why is the number of birds in the cities disappearing? Think about it. One reason could be that in the cities we are cutting down trees. So there is no natural place for these birds to live in. Think of other reasons. So in the textbook they have asked you to think and find out solutions as to what the reason is and why is the population of birds in several cities falling. Okay, so this was the lesson. Now let us do a very interesting exercise before we end the lesson. So there is a similar exercise in your textbook also, children, which you can do. So this is another fun exercise for you where we will try to match the pictures. So what are there in the pictures? On one side you can see various types of animals and on the other side you can see their shelters. So come on, let's try and match them now. So the first animal is a honeybee. So sometimes we keep honeybees in these kind of, you can say, boxes, okay, where we breed honeybees for honey. It is called as apiculture. Okay, then the next picture is that of a sheep. So where do sheep live? They live on farms. Okay, then look at the bird. So where do birds live, or what is the shelter of birds called? They are nests. Okay, and finally the rat or the mouse, it lives in holes in our houses. So this is how we matched the shelters of the animals with the names of the animals. So there are some more pictures where you can do the matching in the textbook. So children, wasn't that a wonderful lesson about animal shelters? Now after you finish watching this video, I have got a few tasks for you. Now what those tasks are, let me explain it to you in detail. So children, now you have watched the video. So after you watch the video now, you will have to complete a few simple tasks. Now you might have watched the video on your computers or your laptops or your mobile phones. Now after you watch the video, what will you do? You will please go to the description box which is given below the video. So what is the description box? See, the description box looks like this. Alright, and after you go to the description box, you will see that there are a few questions there. Now what are these questions about? These questions are about the lesson that we just learned or the video that you just watched. So what will you do? You will think back properly about the lesson and you will try and answer these questions. And note down the answers in your notebook if you want. Okay? After that, we have another task waiting. You will also click on the link which you will find in the description box to fill up the Google form. So now what is the Google form, children? It is nothing but a simple form. There are a few simple questions there about the video which you just saw and also about yourself. So these are the tasks now that you will have to complete after you watch each video. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.